Dear boomers, how can white privilege be used to help and protect the disenfranchised in America or anywhere else for that matter? I one time organized, I started out with a one-person revolution against the Trump policy of separating families, the children from their parents back in the Trump years, and now we're going to revisit these things. And during that time, I encountered a policeman who was badgering a Mexican man who could speak no English. I stood between the two of them and I said, "Keep your hands off this man. Stop it now." And I stayed there until the cop went away. And the poor fella was traumatized, of course. And then another time, I was down at the square in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, with my little sign that says, "Stop the separation of children and families." And I saw there are a lot of people jaywalking. We have a city in Lancaster County has a tourist, we have tourism at the basis of our money-making structures here. And there are tourists jaywalking. There was all kinds of people jaywalking. And a African American woman and turns out to be her niece, were slightly jaywalking. And the cops targeted them and tried to make an example of them. And the niece started screaming and yelling at the cop. And I could tell, oh my God, that's probably not what she should be doing. So I went over there, told the cop, I said, "Hey, look at all these people, all these white people. They're all jaywalking. Leave this person alone. Leave her alone." So he was going, blah, blah, blah. And I said, "No, now, leave her alone. Let them get the hell out of here. You are in the wrong." And as time went on, in that moment, it did work. It did break up. I was a little nervous. My friend Egon was filming it. And, that kind of thing isn't necessarily fun, but it is something that as a white person and other white people, we can use our privilege to help people who are being targeted by the cops or by whomever, somebody who thinks they're better than them, some racist or whatever. And this is my motivation for making this video. I want to say that white privilege has always been understood as being something negative in terms of somebody like me, getting away with all kinds of stuff. And I mean, I'm not trying to get away with anything, but I'm not really usually bothered by anybody. Nobody stops me because I'm white, in a car. And nobody, arrests me because I'm white. And I'm usually given a pass. But because of that, I think that we can use our white privilege, especially in this new era of Trumpism, to help our fellow people. My dog is thinking he can get away with things now. So white privilege is, as I just explained, getting away with anything and everything because we're white. And we can, racial identity, we can help our people in our communities. We can keep a watchful eye and be vigilant for this kind of thing. So we have, there's a lot of examples of white privilege. It's very sick. And we can talk about speaking up for the disenfranchised. We can use privilege to confront harmful language and actions in workplaces. We can use our privileges to protect our children who may be targeted by the white supremacists in the Trump era. And we can explain the power of voting and lobbying. We have to continue with our fight against these powers that seek to keep us down, really. And so there's grassroots movements right now that do push it back on harmful policies. I was just listening to Michael Popak of Mightest Touch. I highly recommend that. It's a pro-democracy network, and there are lawyers who are keeping a watchful eye on the disenfranchisement of our migrant communities and of people of color, and they are on the vigilance of bringing up lawsuits to protect people and to, there's all kinds of examples I can think of where we need our lawyers, constitutional lawyers, to block the Trump policies. And it's so strange that people who voted for Trump now have buyer remorse because for some reason or other, they didn't know what a tariff was. And they thought that anything that was bought from China, that China would have to pay for. But unfortunately, it is the taxpayer who pays. And now these people, I feel sorry for them, but I feel sorrier for the low information attitudes that brought Trump into power the second time. And so we need to amplify our voices, not just locally or just walking down the street and being vigilant, but through social media, which is very strong right now, public conversations and platforms like Mightest Touch. And Michael Popak and his team of lawyers, they are on this stuff, not to mention Ben Nasalis and his brothers, Jordy, and I forget his name. So I think this network is growing faster than CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News combined. It's strictly on YouTube, and it's called Mightest Touch. Please join the pro-democracy movement there, and we can explore ways to change the world with kindness. I mean, kindness is really at the heart of all of this. We have to. There are a lot of activists right now who are banding together. The CNN CEO was working secretly behind the scenes to get Trump elected. It just turns out, and so I have I'm going to turn off all mainstream media, and I'll do that today. Even MSNBC, I love those people there, but they are wringing their hands, blaming people, blaming Biden, blaming Kamala, blaming probably us. The Democrats didn't get out and vote, so I guess they're blaming them. That's what I'm talking about, okay? I'm going to be closing down my mainstream media networks today. I don't really care what they have to say. But I get my news from Mightest Touch. They're very, very rational. They're very, very balanced. That's what I love about them. I really like them all. I love their personalities. And then they have certain ex-MAGA people who have come on the channel. And they explain what happened to them, and now they're on the right side of history. You have to be on the right side of history in this. And we don't have to think that we're in a fascist state when we still have the Constitution, when we still have the powers of the rule of law that stand behind all of us. We have to use it. We have to believe in it. We have to love our country. And I understand this morning people were saying they want to get rid of the American flag. And so what's going on here is that people are becoming radicalized against the government, our government, but because of Trump. But we can't let this happen. What does this have to do with white privilege? Well, that's the negative side of white privilege. We can, we turn our backs on what's going on and get into a state of denial and no longer take part in our democracy because we didn't get our way. Why? We thought Kamala was going to win, and a lot of people think that the election was rigged, but I think the corporations have rigged us. They've rigged us. But we have to we have to become more, bring the spiritual principles. We have to bring in the earth into our daily lives, the beautiful nature, and get outside every day, no matter how cold it is now that we're entering winter for this area of the country, and love everyone, no matter what. That's what Ram Dass's guru says. Love everyone, and understand that everything happens for a reason. Everything is happening because it's happening, and blaming and finger pointing and then obsessively looking over. Obsessively thinking about Trump is not the answer. There's going to be a video that shows up. Take a look, and see you soon.